Welcome to your channel NCERT e-teaching decoding NCERT. I am Dr. Kailash Meena here going to explain the experimental proof of semi-conservative DNA replication. So in the series of the videos from chapter number 6 we have discussed the structure of DNA, structure of RNA, the central dogma of molecular biology, how DNA is able to perform its tasks with the help of RNA and proteins, and we also have discussed the packaging of DNA. Then we have discussed the history of DNA, the experimental proofs, the experiments which have proved that DNA is a genetic material. Then we have learnt about the function of DNA and the connections of DNA with RNA and protein. The very important function of the genetic material of the DNA was that it was able to make its own copies during the cell division. Now we know that cells have DNA in their chromosomes, whether they are prokaryotic cells or they are eukaryotic cells. So here we will not learn about the mechanism of DNA replication. Here we only learn about the experiment which was conducted to prove that how the mechanism happens, how DNA is able to make the copies, in which manner. So that experiment is very crucial for our class 12th board examination plus the NEET examination also. So before studying that experiment, so what is our learning outcome? So after watching this video, if you are able to understand about the experimental proof of semi-conservative DNA replication, the aim is achieved. If you are not, then you need to rewind the video and read your textbook, the topic from your textbook, and make yourself understand this topic, because I intended to make this video for you class 12th biology students to make you understand the experimental proof of semi-conservative DNA replication. Now, before jumping to the topic, we need some elementary idea which I have discussed in my previous videos of the series, that the structure of DNA, some elementary idea of structure of DNA, because the structure of DNA is very crucial for the replication of DNA or for the duplication of DNA. If you are not aware about the ATGC base pairing, the double helix structure, the hydrogen bonds, two hydrogen bonds between A and T and three hydrogen bonds between G and C, and the complementary base pairing and the anti-parallel nature of the two strands, please do watch all the videos or read your NCERT textbook for the elementary idea, because in this chapter, the molecular basis of inheritance, we need previous knowledge to understand the current topic. And then always we must be aware about the difference between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, because in molecular mechanisms we always discuss the mechanism in prokaryotic cell, then we will compare the mechanism with the eukaryotic cells. So now in this video, what I try to convey here is that if cell is able to make copies of DNA, or if DNA is able to make its own copies, there are three possibilities how this can happen. So scientists at that time in 1950s, I'm talking about 1950s, they were aware about that the genetic material is DNA of course, because in 1953 the Hershey and Chase experiment was conducted and published. So people were aware that DNA is the genetic material. Now here we have shown the DNA with blue color to understand the process. So in these three diagrams, let me take one by one. In each diagram there was only one DNA and it was duplicated into two DNA molecules. So in each diagram the color is shown in such a manner that we can assume that the blue strands are the old ones and the red strands are the new ones. So in these three diagrams there are three possibilities. What are those possibilities? In the first diagrams you can see that In the new DNAs, two DNAs, one strand is made up of blue color and the another strand is made up of red color. It means it shows that new strands are having half part of the old DNA and half part of the new DNA. In the next diagram, we have two new DNA molecules. One is completely blue and second one is completely red. It shows that one DNA is the old DNA and the second DNA is completely new DNA, which is formed, of course, with the help of old DNA. And in the third one diagram, you cannot identify which part of DNA is old, which part of DNA is new. It is somewhat mixed. So one strand is made up of few parts of old DNA, few parts of new DNA. So these three possibilities are called as semi-conservative mode of DNA replication, conservative mode of DNA replication, and dispersive replication. What does this mean? This means when we are talking about semi-conservative mode of DNA replication, semi means half, and what is conservative? To conserve means is to protect. So if you take the second one first, the conservative replication, here we can understand the idea. Here the old copy, the old DNA is conserved here, it is protected, and the new one is completely new. So the new DNA is found with the guidance of old DNA and it is completely new. This is why this is called conservative. So now we can understand the semi-conservative. What is semi-conservative? Semi means half. So semi-conservative means in the each new DNA molecule, one part, half part of DNA is old, half part of DNA is new. It means the old DNA is conserved but only half in new DNA molecule. And in dispersive DNA replication, you can see clearly that there is no such thing that semi-conservative or conservative, it is mixed type. So what experiment we are going to study is that this experiment will show how two scientists, the name was Matthew Meselson and Franklin Stoll, simply Meselson and Stoll, in 1958 they conducted one experiment and proved that the semi-conservative mode of DNA replication, it means the first one is the mechanism of DNA replication. So do not bother about the text. I have taken the text as it is from NCERT textbook. So I will give you every idea about the DNA replication, this experiment. But yes, we must stick to NCERT to confine our discussion to understand these statements from NCERT. So I am not reading this statement as it is, but yes, after watching this video completely, you will able to understand each and every statement of the NCERT. Now, let's understand these diagrams first. So this diagram is also taken from NCERT as it is. Before discussing these diagrams, let me give you one idea, or let me ask you some questions about isotopes. So I am giving a brief idea about isotopes. What are isotopes? Isotopes are alternative atoms of same identity and different weight or mass. What is identity? See, every atom in this universe is made up of subatomic particles, and those subatomic particles are called electrons, protons and neutrons, as we all know from our class 9th onwards. Now we are in class 12th, so we are very aware about these facts. So atoms are made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. So protons are the particles which gives identity to any atom. If we are saying that nitrogen is having 7 protons, it means if any atom have 7 protons, it will be nitrogen. If you remove one proton, although it is not possible, but yes, if you can imagine that if you remove one proton, this will not be a nitrogen without one proton, this will be a carbon with 6 protons. And if you add one more proton to this nitrogen, it will convert into oxygen with 8 protons, not nitrogen with one more proton. See, proton is the identity of any atom. So it is the proton, the number of protons, which gives the identity of any matter, of any atom. Now coming to the next particle, which is called neutron, which is also present in the nucleus. So if you are aware about the atomic structure, you may be aware about the nucleus and the shells of electron shells, the surrounding part. So the nucleus is composed of protons and neutrons. So the next part is neutrons. So here, for the ease of simplicity, for the ease of study, I will say that okay, nitrogen will have 7 protons and 7 neutrons. It means total 14 atomic mass. So neutrons are not connected with the identity of any atom, but yes, they increase the weight or mass of any atom because they have equal weight of protons. So nitrogen will have 14, 7 plus 7, 7 neutrons plus 7 proton. Carbon will have 12 atomic mass, it means 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and oxygen will have 16 atomic mass, it means 8 protons and 8 neutrons. If you are not able to understand what I am saying, please do learn about atomic structure, because it is very much necessary. If you want to study class 12th biology, you must have an elementary idea of chemistry from class 9th and 10th, and from class 11th also. So here what I want to convey is that the subatomic particles, proton, neutrons and electrons, have certain functions. Proton is giving the identity of any atom, whether it is nitrogen, carbon or oxygen. Neutrons are not giving identity, but yes, they are increasing or decreasing the weight. So here you can say that nitrogen is heavy than carbon and it is light than oxygen. Now here comes the electrons. So let me show you a very simple diagram of any atom, very simple and very rough diagram also. See, if this is the atom, here will be neutrons and protons which are giving identity to any atom, and this surrounding part, peripheral part, which is very large actually, if you are able to recall the Rutherford's experiments, this part is having electrons. So for very simplicity, we can say that nitrogen will have 7 protons, 7 neutrons and 7 electrons for ease of study. So these electrons will give the chemical nature of any atom. So if we are seeing the chemical reactions, the things happening, the physical forms of things because of these electrons. So what we have learned in this part, that all universe is composed of atoms, and rather we can say that molecules, the combinations of atoms. So everything is ultimately composed of atoms, but yes, the combination of atoms are called molecules, the interaction. And because of that we have more than 92 or 100 substances, because till now only 100 or approximately 110 atoms are discovered, but yes, we have very diversity of substances in the universe. Why? Because the interaction of atoms to make molecules. So now I am coming back to the subatomic particles. So any atom, for example, only understand the nitrogen. So a nitrogen atom is composed of 3 subatomic particles: electrons, protons and neutrons. So protons are giving the identity of nitrogen, the properties of nitrogen, and the place in the periodic table, which you have studied in chemistry. So if imagine, if any nitrogen, now I am removing everything except nitrogen here. So imagine if any nitrogen is having 7 proton and 7 neutron, it means it will have 14 atomic mass. Why 14 atomic mass? Because neutrons and protons are heavy as compared to electrons, so they contribute to the weight in simple terms, not weight exactly in the atomic mass to the atom. But electrons are having no mass, to be exact, they are very light, but they are giving the chemical properties, for example the exchange of electrons, making of bonds, chemical reactions. Now if you can imagine one more nitrogen which is having, of course, 7 protons. If any atom is not having 7 protons, it will not be nitrogen, as I explained, and that is why I am shifting my discussion from biology to chemistry. Now imagine if this nitrogen is having 8 neutrons, then it will have 15 atomic mass. So if neutrons decreases or increases, we cannot say that atom is changing. As I previously described, if there is 6 protons, it will be carbon. If there will be 7 protons, it will be nitrogen. If there will be 8 protons, it will be oxygen. So removing or adding proton will change the identity of atom. Atom will change, but removing or adding the neutron will not change the identity of atom. It will only change the weight of the atom or mass of the atom. So in very simple terms, you can understand here that if you can imagine two types of nitrogen which are having, one is having 7 protons, 7 neutrons, and another one is having 7 protons and 8 neutrons. where do you place these nitrogen in the periodic table? So you are in class 12th, you have studied chemistry, you know that both of the nitrogens are placed in the same column or same chamber in the periodic table. That is why they are called isotopes. Iso means same, and top means or topology or the something related to location. So they have same location in periodic table, but yes, they have one slight difference. What is the difference? N14 is light, N15 is heavy. So yes, I have given you the idea of chemistry, what I wanted to convey before discussing this experiment. Why? Because here the Messelson and Stoll in 1958 used the isotopes of nitrogen. Now you can understand that one nitrogen is having 14 atomic mass and another nitrogen is having 15 atomic mass. So simply anybody can assume that N15 will be heavy and N14 will be light. Now there will be several questions to your mind if you are curious, because science students are always curious that what is the relevance of this nitrogen here, why we are discussing heavy and light nitrogen here, and why, what is the connection of DNA and nitrogen. So let me give answer one by one. Number one, DNA contains nitrogen in their nitrogenous bases. So if you want to replace those nitrogens with heavy or light, we are making this DNA labeled, because in chemistry if you study the use of isotopes, you will study that isotopes are also used as the tracer elements. And we also have discussed the Hershey and Chase experiment, which also use, if you remember, 32p and 35s, which were also isotopes to trace the path of DNA or protein from virus to bacteria. If you remember, that was very crucial experiment to prove that DNA is the genetic material. Here again, isotopes were used to trace the path. What is the path? The path of DNA replication. So we want to differentiate two types of DNA, old and new. As you have idea with this diagrams, conservative, semi-conservative and dispersive mode of DNA replication, and the aim of the experiment was to prove that semi-conservative mode of DNA replication happened. Actually it was not the aim, it later proved that semi-conservative mode of DNA replication is the actual mechanism by which DNA replication happens. So how they proved? They used isotopes of nitrogen. And now one more question arises, that how we can incorporate N14 or N15 in any DNA molecule. See, I will write one thing which is not connected to our subject, but you all are, everyone is aware about that, which is you are what you eat. It means what we eat will incorporate in our body and we become what we eat. So in our body is having molecules, several types of chemicals, molecules and things. These things, where do these things come from? These things come from our food. So if you want to incorporate N15 or N14, which means heavy nitrogen or light nitrogen, in any DNA molecule, you have to feed the DNA. How can we feed any DNA? As I have discussed earlier, that we are doing experiments in bacteria, if it is related to DNA, RNA and protein. So how we feed the bacteria? We are having some chemicals, some nutritions in our laboratory where we are growing our bacteria. For example, I have discussed Petri plates when we were discussing the Griffiths experiment in 1928 of transferring principle. If you want to know more about these experiments, please do watch my previous videos, and they are very important for class 12th board examination also. So here is the idea. If you provide any bacteria NH4Cl, again chemistry, this is called ammonium chloride. So what will incorporate in this bacteria? This NH4Cl, and here I am talking about only N. So if you are using NH4Cl with 14N, and if you are using NH4Cl with 15N, so if you provide any bacteria or colony of bacteria heavy nitrogen containing, it means 15N NH4Cl, the bacteria will incorporate 15N in its DNA while replicating the DNA, while cell division. And if you are providing simple NH4Cl, or normal NH4Cl, it means having only 14 atomic mass, 7 protons, 7 neutrons, the bacteria will incorporate 14N in its body or in its DNA. So this is very huge information I am giving to you, but this information is very much necessary to understand the experiment, because if I read this experiment it will take only 2 minutes, but to understand the experiment we must have some idea of cells, prokaryotic cells, eukaryotic cells, heavy nitrogen, light nitrogen, how we grow bacteria, how we provide them nutrition, and how they incorporate the nutrition or those atoms in their molecules. Now finally let me brief the idea. So we can have 14N DNA or 15N DNA very simply by providing whether 15N containing NH4Cl or ammonium chloride to bacteria, or 14N containing NH4Cl or ammonium chloride to the bacteria. Now let's talk about the experiment. So this is how Messelson and Stoll in 1958 were able to get this 15N DNA. Now you have the idea. So they provided 15N containing NH4Cl to bacteria for several generations. Then they extracted those bacteria and they centrifuged. Here is one more idea. So if you want to know more about centrifuge, I will make another video on it, because this video is going to be very long now. So let me give you one simple idea, but by using another diagram. So have a look on these test tubes, or I will say centrifuge tubes. So centrifuge is an apparatus in your chemistry lab. It is using centrifugal force to separate different states of matter or different states of any solution or thing. If you very simply let me explain. If you rotate at 10,000 rotation per minute, 15,000 rotation per minute, or 20,000 rotation per minute, it means if you rotate very fast some tubes which are looking like test tubes here, they are also called centrifuge tubes. Then what happens, that different type of subcellular particles arrange again according to their density. Or here we use one chemical which is called cesium chloride. When we are talking about DNA, we will use cesium chloride. Why cesium chloride? Because this chemical is having the same density as DNA. These are few technical terms which will help you to remember this experiment, because this is very crucial, very important experiment. Sometimes you get simply 5 marks from this experiment in your board examination. So it is very important to understand this. This video is going to be long because of so much of information, but yes, if you are patient, if you watch the complete video, I assure you that you will able to understand the complete experiment. So after watching this video, please do read this experiment from your NCERT book, and I guarantee you that you will understand every detail of this experiment. So coming back to that diagram, this diagram, you can simply see that in any test tube, in test tube number, let me number these test tubes. In test tube number 1, 2 or 3. So you can see in test tube number 1, you can see the DNA molecule, but yes, in actual experiment in chemistry lab, you cannot see single DNA molecule. You will see the cluster of DNA molecules which is called DNA band. So here you can see the DNA band located downwards in the test tube. Again in the next test tube it is slightly upwards. So why this happens? Why? Because when we have 15N DNA, it means heavy DNA if we compare it with 14N DNA, and when we centrifuge it, so it will arrange according to its density. So we can assume very simply that heavy things want to settle down, and light things will be slightly upper than heavy things. So by having this idea in our mind, we can understand that if we have N15 N15, what does this mean? So for this you need one understanding of the structure of DNA. That is why I was telling you that if you want to know about the structure of DNA, you must watch the previous videos first. So every DNA is composed of 2 DNA strands. So if we are talking about 14N or 15N, if you are saying that any DNA is having 15N or any DNA is having 14N, there will be one question: what part of DNA? Because it have 2 strands. One strand may have 15N DNA, another strand may have 14N DNA. Both of the strands may have 14N DNA, or both of the strands have 15N DNA. So there will be 3 possibilities. So this is what written here. You can see. Let me label one by one. First is 14N 14N. The third one is 15N, and the middle one is of 14N and 15N. So this is the experiment. If you get this idea, you will understand the whole experiment very quickly. So what happened here, those scientists were taken 49 means light DNA, 59 means heavy DNA, and one intermediate DNA which is having one strand of 49, one strand of 59. So when I am saying that they have taken, they didn't taken, they performed one experiment and the results, by the result they concluded this thing, but I am giving you the idea of the experiment so that you can understand the experiment very easily. So in the first test tube you can see the DNA band is heavy, very simply by the same logic, and in the second test tube you can see it is lighter than the first one, and in the third test tube you can see one more band. So this will be the lightest, it means 14 and 49, you can understand. The first one is the heaviest, it means 15 and 15, and the intermediate will be of one strand of 14 and one strand of 59. So what does this mean? Let me explain the experiment as such. Now you are able to understand the experiment. So what they have done, so before it we want one more concept. I know that I am giving many concepts but not discussing the experiment as such, because these informations are very crucial for understanding this experiment. So one more last concept for you guys is that E. coli bacteria divides by binary fission and makes new DNA molecules like this. And the time of dividing is 20 minutes. So E. coli divides in 20 minutes. So if you leave E. coli bacteria for cell division, in 20 minutes they will be double, and in 40 minutes there will be 2 cycles. So if you are having 1 E. coli, after 20 minutes you will have 2 E. coli, after 40 minutes you will have 4, then of course 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, it will multiply. So the time of multiplication is 20 minutes. So now you will understand these terms in the context of the experiment. Now let's discuss the experiment as such. So what they have what they did is that they grow bacteria in heavy medium. What is heavy medium? It was NH4Cl, ammonium chloride, having 15 N. Now you understand what is 15 and what is NH4Cl. So sample at 0 minutes. What is sample at 0 minutes? It simply means that they grow the bacteria for several generations in 15 N medium, NH4Cl of course, and then they killed those bacteria and they centrifuged in the centrifuge tube, and what they got, the very simple results which we have discussed earlier, that 15N DNA was settled in the bottom of the centrifuge tube. Then again they repeated the experiment, but yes, after having 15N bacteria, they provided those bacteria 14N medium, it means light medium, NH4Cl, NH4Cl with normal nitrogen, it means with 14N nitrogen. After 20 minutes they killed the bacteria and they centrifuge. Now you understand the importance of 20 minutes. 20 minutes means after having one duplication or one cell division. So what they got is that they found the band not in the previous location. The previous location was for the 15N. So what they got, not in the previous location, not, they got in the middle. So it somewhere proves that DNA replication is not conservative, it is semi-conservative. Let me again show you the basic concept what they wanted to prove. So here semi-conservative, conservative and dispersive. See, in the conservative there are two types of DNA, one light, one heavy. If now you can correlate with blue, if you can correlate this blue with 15N and this red with 14N, it means if you can correlate, because the bacteria itself have 15N DNA, then we provide them 14N DNA and we kill them after 20 minutes and centrifuge them. So now you can see the connection with diagram. So what will happen if conservative mode of replication was there, although we know that it was not there. So if conservative mode of DNA replication was true, what we expect to see? We expect that in this test tube after 20 minutes we will have two bands, one for 15, one for 14N. But what we got, we didn't got whether N14 or N15. We only got one test tube with intermediate band. This proves the semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. But one more thing, if you can observe what I am saying, because if you have understood this thing, you have understood the whole experiment. But I am giving you one more idea to understand the experiment better. So if this happens between N14 and N15, because we didn't get the bands here, we got the band here. So if this happens now, this also shows somewhat possibility of dispersive also. This was the problem with that experiment. If you understand dispersive also, because it is also 50 plus 50. So to avoid that confusion, they repeated the experiment again after 40 minutes. This is why we have 3 test tubes here. So after 20 minutes they got the intermediate situation. After 40 minutes what they got was very interesting. They again have the intermediate situation band plus one band completely in N14. How we can decipher these results? Let me show you simply the NCERT diagram so you can correlate with your textbook. So why I have shown you the previous diagram? For the experimental context plus the gravitational force, because the test tubes were showed upright here, so you can correlate the thing of heavy and light nitrogen. Now you have understood the thing, so let again revisit the idea of NCERT diagram. Now here you can see 15N with red one. See, in the previous diagram I have shown blue color old one and red color new one, but in your NCERT please remember that the red color DNA is old one and the green color DNA is the new one. So here you can see the simply two cycles after 20 minutes, after 40 minutes. Now you have the idea, the 20-minute time is duplication of E. coli cells. So previously we have 15N DNA, how? By providing NH4Cl, of course, with heavy nitrogen, and after 20 minutes we have two new strands. If there will be semi-conservative mode of DNA replication, then only we have this. And in the next generation we will have what we will have, because now this semi-conservative means one green one red will become the old one, then they will separate, and what will happen, that the new one again new DNA will be synthesized, and this new DNA will be composed of 49, because we are continuously providing the 49 NH4Cl. Then what will happen is that when this type of old DNA separates its two strands, one will be red, one will be green, and again if new DNA forms, the new DNA again will be green. Green means containing 14, and here we are not talking about color. Color is we have used color for only clarifying the concept. So after one more cell division we will have two DNAs. If previously we have one DNA, then we will have two DNA after 20 minutes and 4 DNA after 40 minutes. So two DNAs will be completely of 14N DNA, and two DNA of one strand is of 14N DNA and another strand of 50N DNA, and that is why we are having these type of results. So by seeing the diagram of NCERT, you will able to see the conceptual diagram plus the experimental diagram. So this is the experimental diagram of test tubes, but I have included one more diagram to give you the idea of upright test tubes, because here we are not able to locate where is 15 and 15. Now you can see the 15 and 15N is in the bottom, the 14 and 14N which is lighter somewhat upper, and this is in somewhat middle. Again coming to the previous diagram, this diagram will give you the complete idea of the experiment, which is very good diagram. But yes, if you want to understand the interpretation, please refer to the NCERT diagram for more illustration. So this is how we are able to understand the experiment. I will briefly revise and then I will conclude my video. So what happened in 1958, Messelson and Stoll conducted an experiment by using 14N and 15N, which are light nitrogen and heavy nitrogen, how he was able to incorporate these nitrogens in the DNA by providing NH4Cl ammonium chloride having light nitrogen or heavy nitrogen to the E. coli bacteria. They divide in 20 minutes. Then he used a light isotope and heavy isotope by with the difference of one neutron, and he centrifuged the samples after 20 minutes, at 0 minutes, after 20 minutes, and after 40 minutes. And what results he got is that in the first experiment he got band of DNA at 15 and 59 position. In the second experiment he got at the intermediate between 14 and 59, and in the third experiment he got two bands, one in the intermediate position and the second one is completely in the 14 and 49 situation. So why the third experiment was conducted? To avoid the confusion between semi-conservative and dispersive. So in the first experiment they was able to say that conservative mode of DNA replication don't happen. Why? Because there was no such bands or at N14 or N15. So conservative mode of DNA replication simply rejected. Now there will be two possibilities, semi-conservative or dispersive, but after 40 minutes it was very clear it was semi-conservative, not disruptive. Why? Because if disruptive happens, you cannot have clearly visible bands on N14 location. So I hope you understood the experiment, because a lot of details were there to absorb. So I recommend you to re-watch the video, to reread the topic from your NCERT, and if the students of if my students of class 12 biology have any doubts, they can message me personally. I will answer every doubt. Thank you so much for your listening. In my next video we will be discussing the machinery and the enzymes of DNA replication. So now we have enough idea of the structure of DNA, packaging of DNA, function of DNA, and the mode of DNA replication, the experimental proof. Now in my next video we will discuss the actual mechanism of DNA replication. Thank you so much.